I was recently in Dubai for a work trip, and while I was scrolling Instagram, I saw on one of my students' stories that he was in Dubai as well. And we had gotten him from 1K a month to 10K a month quite recently. So I messaged him and said, "Yo, bro, let's grab steaks." And while we're eating, I actually had the idea of doing a student interview with him. I thought that you would find this useful just to see sort of how he did it so you could replicate it for yourself. Basically, let's just shut up now and listen to what Aaron has to say. I'll see you in a bit.
So I was originally, when I found your stuff on YouTube, I was making around 1K-ish per month. Before that, I was making 2.5, but I fell back to 1 because Max Pearson, my client, left at the time. I'm working again with him now, so that's kind of cool. But he left at the time, so I fell back to 1K, found your free stuff. And I was at like 1K-ish, kind of like stuck. But I wasn't really putting in the effort to grow because I didn't really know what to work on. Like should I improve the videos? Should I do outreach? What should I do? So I was like stuck there for like 5 months, and then I found one of your videos. I forgot which one it was, but basically the mindset shift that like changed everything for me was like you said that it's actually okay to make money with editing, and I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of why I started in the first place. I was like, pfft. Or like I started like the business side of it in the first place. I was like, pfft, fucking mindset shift, and then for the next 6 months ish, I got to around 5-6K, and then that was pretty cool. We met up in Amsterdam, which was fun.
That was fun, yeah.
Also happened super randomly, just like this happened random.
Yeah, didn't even expect that I didn't know you were in Dubai until I saw your story.
I didn't know you were in Dubai until you texted me. So that happened. Then I was like at around 5 to 6K for a few months. Then I fell back to 2. I was at 2 for another 3 months, and then back to around 6. And that's when I actually joined the editing. Actually, no, I joined when I fell back to 2. That's when I joined editing there. Because I was like, yeah, your free stuff helped me a lot, but also I kind of need more structure around what I do. Because I felt like even when I was at 6K before I fell back down to 2, it was like 6K, but it was chaos. Like,
Yeah.
I was making 6K, but I was feeling like shit.
So tell me, what was the day in the life of like Avan at 6K? What did that look like?
Aaron at 6K, wake up at noon, super stressed, because Dan Bolton, the client I was working with, like mainly, he was in a different time zone. So by the time I woke up, it was like almost 6 p.m. for them. So by the time I woke up to a bunch of messages on what I should do, what I should change, what I should do, this, that, and etc. So I wasn't actually with him. It was with his like right hand man. He would like I would wake up to like 15 DMs about like what's next, what I should work on, all that stuff. And like to be fair, they were also figuring that stuff out. So it was like they still weren't sure about the direction, weren't sure about how to operate the team and stuff like that. So they were also like just spamming shit in the chats. So that was always super stressful. Just wake up at like noon, fucking 50 messages. I'm like, fuck, okay, I gotta do this, and that. Went to the library, just got some work done there, and then went home. But it wasn't like I just like didn't know what to work on in a way, or like what should I focus on? I was doing shorts and long form. I was like, it was supposed to be like daily shorts and also like 2 long form vids a week.
Yeah.
So it was like crazy. And then Dan fired the team, so I was back to one client, and that's when I joined Delaire, like a few months later. And yeah, because I just wanted like more structure. I was like, I know you mentioned like automations, workflow stuff. I was like, that could probably be pretty cool if I like kind of like figure out like a better system for what I'm doing. Then I joined. I went through like I'd say like 80% of the course in the first 2 weeks, and then I watched the rest like a bit later. And yeah, probably the biggest thing I got was like just the mindset stuff in general. Like the systems obviously like helped. It's like the mindset puts your mind in the right direction, and the systems actually like make it happen.
I see, yeah.
So like when you talked about like the theory of constraints, that's cool, but then the practical stuff actually like puts it into practice, the system stuff. So I was like, okay, what are the constraints? It was like mostly first. At the time was like, bruh, I have just one client, which is kind of shit. And then I solved that pretty fast after I joined. And then
What did you actually do to solve that? Let's talk about that.
I mean, it was kind of branding stuff, but so basically I took what you taught about Twitter branding and I kind of applied it to Instagram in a way. I didn't post previews or anything like that. I just like kind of framed myself as the person who makes good videos.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It was kind of like esoteric. Basically, like I just made like I imagined like, okay, if someone was to look for someone who's like a creator, someone who who understands the creative vision of what it's like to make videos, what would that person look for?
Look for, I see.
And I was like, okay, I'm gonna create that character. I'm just gonna become that character. So I did that, and then Max found my content again, and then he reached out to me. I was like, yo, bro, let's work again. So my old client that was paying me like 1.5K at the time came back. I was like, okay, let's have a call. And I was like, yeah, sure, we can have a call. At first, I thought it was like an appointment setter because the way he texted me was super weird. I was like, what the fuck? But it was actually him. And then we got on a call, and then we had a few calls, and then we were like, okay, this makes sense to do again. We should work, but do it in a smarter way this time. Like instead of, we had like a huge team before.
Yeah.
It was like five people working on the same video. It was complete chaos. And now it was just only me, my domain. I do whatever I want with the video. And then the videos were way better, way faster. He liked it more. It was like a win-win-win.
Yeah, I love it. How long ago was that when you worked with Max again?
Again, it was in August.
August. So it's been
4 months?
4 months, and you're still working with him.
Yeah.
Tell me about how you've maintained that client relationship.
Since I got back on board,
Yeah.
I mean, one of my core mindsets or like values is always over deliver. That's like probably my number one.
Top man.
So I was like, when I originally lost him, I kind of took it personally in a way because I was still new to the game. I was like 3 months in, like I got my first client in March of 2023, and then he came in like April. So like it was pretty fast after one after the other. So I went from 0 to 2.5K like out of nowhere, and then went back down to 1K after he left. He like fired the whole team. It was like he tried to change things up in his business.
Yeah.
He was figuring stuff out, but I kind of took it personally because I didn't know that it's like, I didn't know why
Yeah.
he stopped. I thought it was like my work was bad or like my communication was bad, which it probably was, but I don't think that, but that wasn't, like now knowing him, that I know that wasn't the reason. It was just he was like trying to figure stuff out himself. But yeah, so when I got back on board, some part of that anxiety of like what I felt like when he left was still there. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna fucking go harder than ever. I'm gonna make the best videos ever I could possibly make. So I wasn't saying like I over delivered, but it wasn't necessarily from a place of like a good. It wasn't necessarily from like a positive.
It was out of fear.
Yeah, I was out of
I
fear.
see.
But it kind of worked out though, because like as the ball started rolling, and I see that he really liked the videos, and then eventually when we connected in the US, because we spent the last month in the US, like I could see that not only my vision for working with him 10x, but his vision for working with me also like 100x.
Yeah.
So that gave me a huge confidence boost of like, okay, I'm good here. Like this is like, he's not gonna just like abandon me or something. Like,
Because you're such a core member of the team now.
Yeah.
Where it's like, first it was, well, I'm just trying out content. Let me bring you in. If I want to drop you, I'll drop you. But now it's like, I mean, tell me about the proximity, how you work together. Tell me about the team.
yeah, so basically it's 5 of us, including Max. So there's a growth operator who kind of like runs the community on school. There's Dan, who's like the main coach. He handles all the client stuff. And there's Miles, who like basically does sales. So like everyone who gets in the community goes through him. And then it's me for content. So we basically have like all have our like mini departments. It's just us now, so it's like one-man departments, which is kind of funny. But going forward, we're gonna build like teams under us eventually. So it's still like, it's kind of like a lean startup.
Yeah.
That's the vibe we're getting. It's all just like working from the same house. There's like fucking eating protein bars and then steak at night and just drink energy drinks all day.
Yeah. Have you ever had a client like that where it is, I mean, it's no longer you just, you get some MP4 files and you just give it in, but rather it is you're actually flying out together, you're going to these events. I mean, have you had a client like that before now?
Before, no. So this past 5 weeks have just been crazy. Like my life flipped around. Like, so I got Max on board, reached 10K after joining Delaire. I was 34 days after I joined Delaire.
Top man. Proud of you, man.
Went to 10K, which was cool. And then straight after I achieved it, I was in like a mini depression, which I kind of anticipated. Like I always knew like when I reach a goal, I've been like looking forward to reaching for like years, I'd be like, okay, what the fuck is up now? So I went into like a mini slump, not like a major way, just like, okay, what now? And then out of nowhere, Max DMs me that he wants me to come to the US, and then Dan DMs me that he wants me to come to Dubai within like the span of a few weeks. So yeah, in the past 5 weeks, I've been home for like less than 12 hours or like 12 hours ish. So yeah, this is the first time this has happened, like flying out to clients and like actually recording on site as well, not just editing.
Yeah.
But it's been amazing.
Yeah. What I really love about that is you've incorporated that recording stuff, the videography side of things. Because a lot of people after 10K, it's like, 10K is a good number, dude. You know what I mean? Now it's more doing it for passion, doing what they genuinely enjoy. So for you, was that videography, or how did videography come into this?
Well, it kind of like I stumbled into it. Like I knew how to work a camera because I did it for fun. Like I had my own camera. But now it was like, okay, it's a chance to get like actually paid for this, or like actually like have it as part of my workflow. And also a part of me was like, I'm not just gonna sit at 10K. Like no one, like I feel like most of the guys in the lair or like in the entrepreneurship space are not just gonna settle for where they are, right? Even if they reach their goal, they're gonna be like, okay, what's next? And I thought about it and it was like, okay, do I coach people now? Do I start my own community, my own course? Do I do, like I was thinking about all these different options. And then this opportunity like opened itself up to me. I was like, okay, that could be interesting. Like I could be like expand into other parts of the content creation process because there are like so many different problems to solve. Editing is just like a fraction of it.
100%.
And even the way I thought of it is like, you just walk around in like public, you see everyone on their phones, everyone's watching a video. Like all the people do is watch videos all day. Like there's so much opportunity in the video space, it's like ridiculous. So I kind of like see myself becoming eventually like a creative director for Max. And so I was editor first. Now I'm kind of as videographer / editor. And going forward, I think it's going to be like a creative director in the next few years probably.
Yeah. Like not only has your income scaled, but it seems as though your connections have scaled. Like you're getting into some big ass rooms now, which I love.
Yeah, this past month has been ridiculous. I mean, name dropping. Sam Evans, Alex Hormozy, Matt Gray, Dan Bolton, Max Pearson, and yeah, probably a bunch more that I just can't name on the top of my head. But it's been William Brown. It's just been like killer entrepreneur after killer entrepreneur, like in a row. It's been just absolutely insane.
What's the biggest lesson you've learned from them so far?
Biggest lesson is that they're all just normal people. Like they're all just normal dudes. Like sure, they're smart. Sure, they made some right moves. Sure, they're definitely knowledgeable about what they do, and they're absolutely obsessed and dedicated. But at the end of the day, they're just normal people.
Yeah.
Like me and Sam Evans, like between the breaks of like the school games event, we're just like talking about like where to like how it's now nice to live in Scottsdale, Arizona. There are like the pretty girls and stuff. Like he was like explaining to me like I don't know he told me like if I was single, like if he were me and I was single, he would move to Scottsdale, Arizona. It was like explaining to me like why that's the best. Like it was normal stuff.
Yeah.
He was like explaining why he loves LaCroix, this like
That sparkling water.
yeah. He has like a fridge full of like all the flavors, and he was explaining to me why it's like his favorite water or whatever. So like he's like all these people are just like normal people.
Yeah.
Like they're all just people like us. They just like are a few years ahead of you.
A few years ahead of you, yeah. I mean, tell me, how did it feel with that first 10K? Because to me, it seemed like you sort of knew you'd get there.
I always knew, to be honest. I like what Charlie Morgan says about this, which is like the results are guaranteed, but the timeline isn't. I always felt like, but I was like, okay, if I just start working and I never stop, eventually I'll hit it. Like, it's like you kind of have to be like actively doing the wrong things to not hit it. If you like keep trying to better yourself and better your process and better your videos, like eventually you are gonna hit it, in my opinion at least. So when I hit it, I was like, it was almost like just confirmation of knowing that what I believed in the beginning turned out to be true. Like when I told my parents I'm gonna drop out of university, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna pursue this, I'm gonna pursue that. It's like at the time nobody believed. My parents were like, this is kind of weird. My grandparents didn't understand it. My friends were like, "Yeah, bro, just you should have stayed in university." Even my girlfriend at the time was like trying to talk me out of it, and I was like, "No, this is gonna work. I know what I'm doing, and I'm gonna figure it out." And like, for months and months and months and months and months, where you still haven't figured it out,
Yeah.
they're still kind of right though. So you're like,
That's the shitty part about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you can't even say, oh, you're wrong because it is.
like they're right now, but not forever. And when I achieved the 10K, I was like, almost like proof to myself that I was right though. I just needed time. So it was almost like a relief. It wasn't even like euphoric. I was like, oh yeah, I made 10K. It was more like, yeah, I was right. What's next?
I love that. Yeah. So during that period where you were sort of getting to 6K, but then you kept dropping back down to 2K, why do you think that was? Or why do you feel like that was?
I didn't have the systems to handle the clients, so I was almost like starting every video from scratch. I didn't have like a asset library I was building. I didn't have the automations built out, and also just like the general mindset I came from was always like, oh, they're gonna leave me. They're gonna leave me. Like, oh, they're gonna leave me soon. Like, they're gonna find someone better. They don't like what I do. My communication is shit. Like, all these like overthink, like all the stuff that people take into like relationships with like women or like their family or stuff, I took into client relationships as well, and that probably also rubbed off as well in a way. But then again, it's also like just as much I was lucky with finding these clients, I also got unlucky sometimes with like the vision they had for the company and like why they fired the entire team.
Yeah,
so I was
I
like,
see.
just how I was lucky to find them, I was kind of unlucky.
It's like right person, wrong time.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
No, like both. I got fired by both Max and Dan, and I'm working with both Max and Dan.
It's kind of crazy how it works out.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, I love that.
that just like proves that it wasn't me. It was just like not the right time.
Yeah. When you mentioned workflow automation systems, tell me more about that and how you learned them.
Automations were probably the biggest key of this entire system. It was like we met up in Amsterdam and you casually mentioned, oh yeah, I just use this Elgato Stream Deck system. I just press a few buttons and it does stuff. You didn't even really elaborate, and like it kind of like kept coming up in my mind like months afterwards. I was like, I'm spending so much time just clicking folders, assets, drag and drop. I was like, there must be a faster way. So I just ordered one of those Elgatos, and I was like, I'm gonna figure it out. Little did I realize it was actually not as simple as I thought. It wasn't just like I plugged it in and it just started working. I had to like set some stuff up. So I did watched a bunch of YouTube videos, Reddit forums, like just
You're diving deep for that stuff.
yeah, because it's like no one's
done it.
done it, or like no one, even if they have done it, they haven't documented it. So I kind of just had to figure it out on my own. And yeah, I used this program called Keyboard Maestro, created some crazy automations where it basically like clicks the mouse for me and like drags and drops the exact like asset or like layer or whatever I want. It's like insanely OP. So it's like it saves me so much time. That was probably the biggest one. Workflow wise, I was already pretty good. Like I could like segment my workflow, but the automations just like 10x'd it.
Yeah. You know, I'm really glad. This is something I really like about the Lair and just generally having a stronger network. I didn't know about Keyboard Maestro until you told me about it. And you wouldn't have known about automations if I didn't talk about it. So it's sort of like we're basically pioneering in the editing space, but neither of us would be able to do it if we didn't have each other's ideas. Like for me, I figured out the PC stuff. You figured out the Mac stuff. Now we just put it together. It's like, it's effing insane. Try not to swear too much.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, I mean, when you're like at the top of your game almost, or like, I mean, I don't feel like I'm at the top of my game, but like in relative terms, it's kind of like you see what no one else sees, and you can create what no one else creates. And then when you feed it off in a community like this together, it's like, like how do you compete with that? Good luck.
Yeah, like something that I found with you, you fit the culture of the Lair really well in terms of you just gave.
Yeah.
Like, tell me about what you did when you hit 10K.
Recorded a 1.5 hour Loom video for everyone to see, just summarizing all my lessons, my journey, and everything I went through. Part of me was just like, what's the point in going through all that hard stuff if you like don't tell anyone about it? Like all the lessons you learned or all the pain you go through, all the sacrifice. It's like if you keep that to yourself, like what was that for? It's kind of like I feel like you go through all that. Like going through all that as a gift, you can then give to others. So I was like, might as well do it myself.
Yeah.
And also it was kind of fun to record and reflect on my journey as well.
Yeah. Like, a lot of guys have actually talked to me in the Q&A calls and the calls in general where whenever they sort of explain a new concept they've learned, they're like, oh yeah, I don't know if you've seen Alan's video where
really?
he explained this thing. Yeah.
That's so cool.
So the boys have found it really useful. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, that makes me so happy actually. Because I was like, yeah, that's so awesome, man. Yeah, I appreciate it so much.
No worries. What's the next steps from here?
Next steps. So as much as it's kind of like bittersweet, probably moving away from the freelance editing model in a way, or like not even moving away, but just like adapting it into something bigger.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna basically like everything I learned in the layer is gonna be like the way I see it is like, let's say you have a car and the car is like video creation. The editing layer was like everything editing rate is like one of the wheels, and that wheel is like really perfected now. It's like super tight. It's like shiny. The rims are nice. The tires are perfect pressure and everything. But now it's time to build out the other wheels as well.
Yeah.
So I'm still going to rely on that wheel to drive the car, obviously. But it's just I'm stepping into more of the behind the camera directing stuff on site with my clients as well.
Yeah.
So not just like reaching out to clients and just editing the videos themselves.
Yeah, because we were talking earlier about your plan to get to 30K a month. Don't know if you want to get into specifics or not, but generally your plan to get into 30K, and I see you getting like 50, 100 over the next, even couple of years, honestly, I see you doing that.
Yeah, so in the next year-ish, I don't know, yeah, my goal is to hit 30.
Yeah.
And with the incentive structure we're building with Max and the team, I think it's more than reasonable that we're going to hit it. I'm not saying it's going to be easy because it's never as easy as you think in your head, but I think it's more than possible. And it's like, I think that's the logical next step. That's how I evolve in like videos. Ever since I was a kid, like 10 years old, video was all I cared about. Whether it was video games or making videos, it was I was always in some kind of editing software editing videos, and I will never stop editing videos ever because it's kind of like it was my safe space always, and it's like still kind of feels like that way. It's just that now I'm gonna be in even more control of the footage that I actually put on the timeline. That's the way I like to see it. It's like it's not just me getting the footage and playing around with it. It's like actually I decide what gets on the timeline and what doesn't.
You've got control of the entire vision.
Entire vision. Yeah, that's the point.
I love that.
It already is amazing, but it's gonna be even more exciting.
Well, I'm proud of you. Any notes that you want to give? I mean, if someone is looking at the layer, maybe they're not sure if it'll help them, what are your thoughts about it?
All I can say is that as much humbling, it took quite a bit of humbling to accept the fact that someone who's almost 3 years younger, actually more than 3 years younger than me, was doing way better than me. When I saw Saif for the first time on YouTube, I was like, what does this 17-year-old guy know, at the time 17-year-old guy know about, like, what does he know that I don't? Like, come on, I'm not gonna listen to this kid. But I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna give him a chance, I'm gonna watch his video. And then I realized like, oh fuck, like I'm a dumbass. I should probably listen to him. And that took some humbling, but I'm so grateful for my past self that I actually could humble myself and was like, okay, I'm literally just, when I joined, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to be a smartass. I'm just going to listen to what you say. Like, I didn't have a portfolio. Like, I was doing literally everything you said, like, oh yeah, all these dumb editors do this. Like, I was the dumb editor. You know that meme where it's like, when you're reading the Bible and the fool is like, when you're reading about the fool, it sounds like you. Like, I was listening to you speaking about the dumb editors, that was me. So I was still somehow making 6K a month, which also kind of proves that you can be pretty dumb and still kind of figure
You
it
can be an idiot and make money if you just do the right things.
Bro, you can be an idiot and make money, and if you're actually smart about it, you can make even more money in a way that's like way less stressful. So, so what was the question again? I forgot.
I mean, we were asking about what were your thoughts
like
until there.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, if I had the letter sooner, I probably would have hit my goals sooner for sure. And it also, like, in entrepreneurship and business in general and life in general, there's so much uncertainty, and I feel like the layer helps alleviate that a lot. Because it kind of like, many people have walked the path you're trying to walk, and knowing that people have walked it in many different ways, many different niches, many different price points, like there are so many different ways people have done it. It's like, it just makes you believe that it's possible. Like when I heard you speak about charging 1.5K, 2K for one video, I was like, what? That's possible? And like that completely changed my mindset. And there's so much in there that just kind of like opens your mind and opens your soul to how you personally can actually do this, not just some random person on YouTube.
I love that, yeah. I'm proud of you, man. I mean, seeing you go from 1 to 10K, now seeing you go from 10 to 30, I'm a proud man.
I appreciate it, man. And it's truly, like, without you and all the videos you made, all the courses you made, all the posts that you made, all the calls that we've had, or like in-person conversations, I would not be where I am today. And I am 100% certain of that. So I owe a lot to you, and I'll be forever grateful for you. And I'll always be in your corner cheering for you. And I got you in case you need anything. So
God, you did. I mean, we'll have a lot more trips like this where we see each other.
definitely. And we should do one where it's like actually planned. And
Actually planned.
we just not randomly show up.
Yeah, we're not randomly coincidentally both in Dubai.
It's actually crazy. Like, this is the third time this happened.
Yeah.
We just missed one of them by one day.
Yeah, so the first one was Amsterdam. We coincidentally are both there.
Yeah.
Spain we missed by like 2 days.
Yeah.
Dubai I see on your story. And now we're here.
The timing is insane.
But yeah, dude. We'll end this off here. Appreciate you. Anything you want to say to the camera?
Anything I want to say? As much as I want to take credit and give Mouse even more, all glory goes to God. He is the ultimate planner. So trust God and all will be well in the end.
Love that, dude. Let's wrap up. Claps.